Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. As I've gotten older, I've started to think about life in a different way, and I want to share with you today some thoughts about the times that we're living in. It's turbulent times, it's stressful times, and we're under a lot of pressure on so many different levels. But women who are over 60 are facing all of that, plus the idea of our mortality, the future of our lives, how we spend these, this last chapter of our lives. And I think it becomes very interesting when we start to develop the questioning mindset of, how do I cope? How do I have the courage to go on in the middle of all of this? When you're young, you've got this enthusiasm for the future, you've got plans, you've got, maybe new love, you've got all these kinds of things that are energizing you. But as you get older, that changes and the tone becomes a bit more thoughtful. So I have got a book and a strategy that I want to discuss with you that I actually learned about when I was in college, when I was in university doing my religious studies program. Now, I have an interest in comparative religion from a very high level. I think that all religions are here to help us to cope with the challenges of life. They're guidelines, they're kind of, rules for living, guidelines for treating each other. And in my opinion, they all kind of merge together in that common value system. So that's where I'm approaching this conversation today. It's not from any one specific religious tradition. So I took my degree in comparative religion, and I studied primarily because I was trying to understand how we deal with vicissitudes of life, the challenges of life, including our mortality, and how the different religions really do address that as a primary concern. So the book I read when I was in college was a book by a man called Paul Tillich, and it was called The Courage to Be. And I've always really loved that title, for one thing, because in a way, when you get right down to it, the things that we have to face in our lives really boil down to the courage to exist, the courage to be here and to be strong and to be resilient and to be able to, live a meaningful life in the midst of a lot of challenge. So Paul Tillich was a philosopher, German-American. He wrote this book, The Courage to Be, in 1952. And so it's been around for a while. But in it, I think he developed some very positive strategies for thinking about how to prioritize your life, how to cope, how to have the courage to go on. Now, he was writing during a time just after World War II, so society was in a lot of upheaval. There was just a lot of challenges. I mean, I was born in '48, so I was just a young child, but my mom and my family all went through the Second World War, and the world was readjusting to it. It was a horrible thing for everybody to go through, and there was a lot of despair and sadness and frustration and loss as people were building back their lives after the Second World War. And there was a questioning of traditional values. What's important? What should I be searching for? What should I be developing in my life? And there was this overwhelming fear of an uncertain future. Was it going to happen again? Where were we going to go from here? And so I think there was this great surge of, children being born, because there was this kind of, reaffirming of, life is going on and we're going to survive. But there was this deep kind of sadness as well, this deep sense of loss. So Paul Tillich wrote this book, and after the devastation of war, he was trying to offer some suggestions for rebuilding. And the essence of his philosophy is that we have to do a couple of things. One is that we have to determine in our lives, what is our source of ultimate concern? What is the thing that we care about the most? Now, at the foundation of this was this whole idea of being and non-being, so that we either exist in the world, we live it, we drive through it, or we don't. And I'm not talking about like giving up on life. I'm just talking about an attitude, a sense of hopefulness, or a sense of despair and, acceptance. So he talked about this book. In this kind of book, he talked about different kinds of courage and what that meant in your life. So how to develop those characteristics, those qualities, in order to get on and build a new world going forward. So the first thing was courage to be yourself. Now this, we talk about, being authentic, being yourself, being real all the time. But that was really at the heart of what he was talking about, the courage to be yourself, that you feel like you belong in this world, you have something to offer, you have something to contribute. And I think this kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier about as you get older, that starts to minimize. You start to feel like you're not relevant, that you're not important, that you're not making a difference in the world. But that was his first thing he talked about embracing your identity, but having it grounded in values. And that's what he talks about in terms of the spiritual priority that he feels we should make in our lives. Spiritual in the sense of connecting to other people, going back to that original thought about all religions wanting to build a community, a family of humans, of humanity. And that's the kind of the value system that is involved in owning and loving yourself, having courage to be you, and courage to have, the acceptance of who you are, all kinds of, positives and negatives. The other thing was to have the courage to be part of the world, part of a community of other human beings, that we were going to help each other on this journey. My throat is still bothering me. I need to take a minute. But that idea, like Ramdas said, we're all just walking each other home. And that's the courage to be part of the world, part of a community, part of a group of people who have the same values, maybe not the same faith or the same path, but we have the same journey together on this wonderful mission of life. The thing he talked about, and this goes back to the thing about ultimate concern, is that for him, he was a theologian. He was, that was his work as a philosopher. He wanted to have something bigger than us, something more divine, something more inclusive as our ultimate concern. That was the courage to, have faith, I guess it is. I mean, and whether you are a Christian or a Buddhist or, the Jewish tradition or Islam, it's all, grounded in that belief that there's something bigger. Whether it's just the power of nature, the universe, that people like to call it, that it's just something that connects us all, that makes us one humanity, one faith, in the sense that we all believe in, something bigger than us, that we have a place in this world. And the relevance for your place in community, for your loving yourself, is all tied up with this connection to a bigger picture. We don't know what that is. Some have stronger beliefs than others, but at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. We have faith or we have hope, but that's it. So we have that, desire to have something bigger than us. And then, of course, he talks about your ultimate concern can also be things that you can buy. So for a lot of people, and think about this now in very literal terms, that, we can buy happiness with money. That's the logic. So my ultimate concern is to be happy, and my ultimate concern is to have lots of money. And it's not just money; it could be material possessions or, things that you gather that make you feel more secure, that make you feel certain, that give you the courage to go on because you've got stuff. But what he's saying, what Paul Tillich is saying in the book, is make your priority something bigger than you. Whether it's, something you believe in, like, for example, the environmental issues that we're facing in the world, or the inequality in housing, or, there's all kinds of things that we might think about that are our ultimate concern, that we prioritize, that we go about every day making, even me, like I'm doing videos for you guys. One of my ultimate concern is my community. But ultimately, I want to know that there's a reason for all this, and things happen to me, and I'm sure to you, so often that there's a synchronicity, there's a coincidence, there's things that just happen because they're the right things, and that's because I think I've got my priorities in the place that, I'm embracing of difference, of embracing of all religions, embracing of all people who have something outside of the material world as their ultimate concern. It's a really powerful book, and I don't know if I've done a very good job in a way of talking about it, but I guess, the point is you've got to have some courage, the courage to be here, the courage to exist, and the courage to make a difference and to live more authentically. So I think the question to you is, what do you value most? What are your biggest values? What is your ultimate concern? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it like the bigger topics like justice and, you know, and equality? Is it the environment? Well, this is your ultimate concern. Is self-actualization, you know, finding your God, finding your faith, your ultimate concern? Is your legacy and the impact that you are making on the world, is that your ultimate concern? You know, what is the most important thing to you? And I think in understanding that ultimate concern, if you can raise it up a level, so there's something that unites us at the top of all of that, something that is common to everyone that we all share on this journey, it would have more meaning and purpose. I hope this has been a useful conversation. I think it's really hard to talk about it in ways that make it applicable to everyone, because I know there's a group that, you know, have one feeling or one faith or one belief or another. But I think for everybody, we have to consider this. Do you have the courage to be strong, to be yourself, to be authentic, to be part of a community of humanity? I hope so. That's one of my goals. It's my priority, to connect us all. Okay. Have a fabulous day, everybody. Please leave your comments below if you have any thoughts on this, and I look forward to sharing the conversation with you. Thanks, everyone.